Hey folks, how's it going? My name is Jaxsun. Today we're going to go through a quick run through of the Elemental Shaman builds for Mythic Plus going into 9.15. Let's jump straight into the talents that you can see here on your screen. Tier 1, Echo with the Elements, it's simply too strong. Like the other two talents here are no competition. So regardless if you're Mythic Plus or rating, it's your go-to. Tier 2, Aftershock is really the go-to for all AoE content. If you're somehow tasked with needing to do some kind of single elemental burst, it would be where you'd want to go for like rating specifically. Tier 3, Mythic Plus just really benefits by having the capacitator cooldowns stun up more often. So this is where you want to roll. Um, if you're in rating, Spirit Wolf is your go-to in that place, but for us today, we're going to roll with Static Charge. Tier 4, Storm Elemental is the preferred way to go. Basically, if you need to be able to stand still for a pretty extended period of time, like up to 42 seconds. Any mechanics will like materially screw this up, but if you can line this up with the correct legendary, along the lines of like Seeds of Rampant Growth for Night Fae, or even Echoes of the Great Sundering, both of those two legendaries work exceptionally with Storm Elemental. So that's our recommendation for this tier. Tier 5, it always depends on your composition. Ancestral Guidance really allows you, if you line this up with your Stormkeeper, to sustain your group for full 10 seconds. And that, if you've got like a Holy Paladin for your healer, allows them to just basically completely lay out and try to maximize the amount of DPS that they're doing. So if you're coordinating it with your group, it's actually a great ability to go with. Alternatively, there's always that temptation to go with Windrush Totem. It's just there. Like your melee will always ask for it. And then Nature's Guardian is just your personal cheat death. So all kinds of fun builds to play with there, but Ancestral Guidance with the right legendaries is where you'll get your maximum DPS. Tier 6, Primal Elementalist, it really just has a huge benefit of more burst and extra defensive cooldowns tied to your Earth Elemental. In fights where you have to soak a lot, like Sledge Fist, you can consider picking the talent instead of Ice Fury. Ice Fury is probably the preferred way to go around like single target builds. Ignore that for now. Primal Elementalist is absolutely our go-to for Tier 6. And then finally, Tier 7, I mentioned it earlier. Stormkeeper works. It's absolutely the preferred go-to. Unlimited power does not even show up on the meters in comparison. Like it's not going to complement our builds. And Ascendance doesn't give us more damage and requires us to actually stay still. So work your Stormkeeper, line it up with your group when you want to rock your Stormkeeper Ancestral Guidance builds, and you'll actually be providing a ton of utility, more than your usual utility, to the group. So overall, that's the talent build for Mythic Plus. Now there are a couple interesting components here that you're going to see us discuss. From a legendary perspective, Echoes of the Great Sundering and Seeds of Rampant Growth, that's the Night Fae legendary, those are your go-tos. So look to go with those. Echoes of Great Sundering is just great in terms of producing significantly high stacked up AoE damage, coming in waves. So again, it's a little so reliant on procs. That's always the challenge with shamans, but it's certainly the preferred way to go. Now, in terms of covenants, we haven't seen a tremendous amount of change tied to 9.15. We seen that like the Elysian Dirge, which is your curing conduit, effectively got increased by 50%. That's not enough to go changing in any kind of covenant for the time being. But there was an AoE cap reduction here, and that was the Storm Elemental's Eye of the Storm. So having that removed from that actually just drives up our AoE significantly. Great to see overall. But that's kind of it. Not a lot of major changes in terms of class design, so we're not specifically getting nerfed by any means. But there's definitely been a few classes that will be feeling like they got buffs tied to changes to their covenants and changes to their AoE cap design. So Elemental's still a class that you'll see, like certainly on dungeons where you'd prefer to have an additional range. They'll be great. But overall, there's not a tremendous amount of overall change for the class going into 9.1.5. So might feel a little bit like a nerf, but there's no specific nerfs laid out here. Overall, we're still incredibly tanky between the Astral Shift, the Earth Elemental, the Primal Elementalists, which basically give your Earth Elemental an additional cooldown. If you choose to go with Necrolords, you get the Fleshcraft. I played with that initially when Shadowlands opened up. It kind of worked, but I'm preferring to play around with Night Fae just a little bit more. But overall, the class is in a pretty fun spot. I'm going to continue to try to push it and see what how high I can get some keys here with 9.15. That's it for now, folks. Thanks for checking out the video. Drop it down in the comments. Let me know the things you like, you don't like, that we should have done better, and I will do my best to incorporate them and provide you better vids in the future. Thanks again for checking it out, and I'll talk to you all soon. Later.